This call meeting to order right around 7 o'clock. We'll stand with Mr. Harper doing a prayer, and then we'll do invocation.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for the beautiful weather that we have, for the rain that has come and made the ground moist, for all the plants and for the trees, and just in general for the good weather that you've rewarded us with this week. Pray God you continue to guide and direct in our lives, especially tonight, Lord, as we have a city meeting. Pray God that your Spirit would be in control here, and that all things that are said and done would bring glory to you. We praise you and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody may look over the February 24th regular city meeting minutes. You want to give us a roll call too, Kelly? Let's get that.
Mayor Dan?
Here.
Alderman Reaser?
Here.
Vice Mayor Anderson?
Here.
Alderman Jones?
Here.
Alderman Jones?
I'll make a motion to pass the February 24th minutes.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I just see one correction, even though I wasn't here. It has me as present, and I was absent.
I'll make that correction.
Thank you.
Minutes are passed with correction. Let's go on to Commissioners' reports. Don't have a whole lot to say about the streets. I appreciate the good job that Josh, Edith, the chief, Mike, and everybody else did out in the snow and taking care of it the best we could. It's probably about the worst one we've had here in a long time. As far as road paving and all that, of course, we're looking at that later on in the year. So that's about all I have on that. I'll go to police and fire with Vice Mayor Anderson.
Okay, well, I'd like to give you a report on the fire department first, and we'll get Chief White to give us a report on the police department. For the period between February the 16th and March 17th, we've had 4 fire calls, 12 medical calls, 2 miscellaneous fire alarm, power line calls. 13 were inside the city, 5 were outside the city, so 18. Chili supper was held this past Saturday, and Chief Reisner says it was another big success. And I want to thank everyone who came out and helped support that supper. We have 2 of the firefighters that Chief Reisner told me had been on for about 6 months, and that they're in the process of doing a course of training that is a mandatory thing every 3 years. And so they're stepping out and doing it in their first 6 months of being here. And it looks like they've already completed about 64 hours of classroom time and getting ready to go to Bell Buckle for 36 hours of extended training there. And their names is Zachary Scott and Dan Seaback. So that's all I got to report on that. And then Chief White, can you give us the police report, please?
Yes, sir, I will. Just quickly on the totals you have there, there was one error. That should be 6 on offense reports instead of 46. And going back to thanking folks for working on the roads, During that time period, we only had 2 actual accidents where we had to take crash reports. We, of course, helped a lot of people get out of ditches and things like that, but as far as the traffic crashes, we actually only had 2 during all the ice and snow. We are still waiting on our digital radio system to come online. Right now, they're looking, I think, at April, the end of April. There's some holdups in Cheatham County and everything that holds up there, it just pushes us back a little further. I'm finishing up on some of our grants right now. Tasers have been ordered that we talked about last month. They should be in just any time. And that will finish out the DOJ grant where myself and Kelly can file the papers to get reimbursed for all of that equipment. It's about either $9,000 to $10,000 in that range. We're working on our 2014 GHSO grant, doing some equipment modifications and buying some equipment with that. And then we're putting in for the new 2015 GHSO grant. I've talked with Alderman Johnson about the e-citations, and that's what we're going to try to get this year, the equipment to start that moving forward. I've had 3 officers that were in school this past month. I've got 2 other officers and myself will be in school this month, and so we got a lot of training going on, but all of our mandatory training will be over with at the end of April. So, subject to any questions, that's all I have.
That's it.
I'd like to thank the chief for all the hard work you've done on getting equipment you've raised for the city. The 2 Humvees, the road grader, I think that's how you pronounce it. We've received a lot of things since you've been trying to get grants and everything available to the city. I appreciate all the hard work you've done on that. Let's go on to planning and zoning, Alderman Harris.
We have nothing on planning and zoning as we did not meet last month.
Okay. Let's go on to parks, Alderman Regional.
I have Easter egg hunt coming up on Sunday, the 29th at 1 p.m. This year. What?
2.
At 2? Okay. I don't know why I put 1 in. I'm sorry. At 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock p.m. So show up at 1, you're just going to be early. The only thing we're really changing this year, we will have a couple of blow-ups as we did at the Bluegrass Festival, just to try to get the kids out and have a good time. And we are beginning to work on our Bluegrass Festival, setting that up for October, and we will announce a date shortly. I think that's it.
Are y'all trying to get people to donate this year on Easter egg hunt like always before?
I think we've already sent out everything, and we've heard back from, actually had a couple of calls this past week about when I was out of town, they were gonna.
We're still accepting those. We sent out some letters to some that had donated last year, just local. But yeah, we're still taking donations.
Okay. Let's go on to utilities, Alderman Harris.
We had 3 gas leaks. One of them was at the daycare up here. I'd like to have Heath kind of fill us in on that, if you could, Heath.
We had actually started out, we had a gas leak called out at Holt's for their gas meter, which we had replaced the whole meter. And after that, they were still getting a smell, and we had to do a flame pack and found that there was a 2-inch main leaking out in between Holt's and the daycare from a repair coupling from where the pipe was originally put in. It was not put in properly to begin with. They used a repair coupling instead of an actual coupling to put it together with. And it had been leaking for a pretty good while. It was not something that just happened overnight. It's been leaking for years. It just finally, all the rain was pushing it out, pushing the smell out of the ground. And it took several hours to repair. Once we found where it was at and got it dug up and everything.
Was that off the main line you're talking about?
Yes, it was a 2-inch main that comes off of O'Brien and runs up behind Holt's, and then cuts across the daycare parking lot and runs out in front of in front of the building over to the edge of the property line and stops. And it evidently had been put in pretty much for the daycare, because that's all it fed was the daycare.
So we had 4 sewer calls, 3 new gas services installed. I finally got the drawings, the actual drawings for the sewer metering station, the aerator, and bin assembly. And I also spoke to the people that, or the person that actually installed it. And so hopefully when the ground dries out a little bit, we can get in there and get that fixed up there at the metering station. And that's pretty much all I have at this point in time.
Okay. Let's go to the finance, Alderman Johnson.
All the line items are doing really well, staying within all the percentages where we should be. As you can see, we're up over last month $124,000, so we've had some revenue in gas that's done fairly well. Of course, our property taxes are pretty much finished up. I guess next month, will we know how much we got outstanding as far as property tax? We'll have a report on it, but we still have outstanding on property tax. Everything was good.
Okay. As far as the city attorney not here this evening, city recorder, Kelly Rogers,
I don't have anything on it.
going down to whole business, Metro Sewer contract, exhibit A.
Well, like we talked about last night, Jim called me today. I mean, did anybody here think of anything since last night about the contract that was bring up? And I know we've sent a copy to Phyllis Morris to look over. What Metro wants to do, because he's trying to get, like it was explained, they're trying to get everybody on all the same contracts. He's going to send ours and White House and one other one to the Metro Council at the same time, and he's wanting to do that the 1st of April.
That was Bellersville, he was going to send over there.
Yeah, maybe. Do y'all want to do a special call meeting, or do y'all want to do a contingent tonight, depending on what Phyllis comes back to say, or what would y'all like to do?
It's gonna need to be passed for ordinance.
Oh, it's going to have to, okay. Well, we got to do it by ordinance, which means 2 readings and a public hearing, so we're going to do the first reading tonight.
We need to
Gotta
actually
do it right
contract
first.
at that time.
I have a copy of the actual contract.
We have to vote on the actual contract. And I get, as far as I know, they're going to accept it. I don't know any problem with it,
Well, the draft they sent us that we looked at last night, that's going to be the
but, right.
final.
Has Buddy got a chance to look over this? As far as, I mean, what we
Well, I
looked
did
at
talk to him today, but he did carry a copy with him.
last night.
Yes. I mean, if y'all want to do first reading tonight, I mean, it,
You know, let's change the second reading.
Yeah.
Go ahead and have a public hearing and second reading next month.
You gotta do it twice, I'd say. Might as well start it off.
Now, but we do have a little bit of a deadline, don't we? April 1st is when he wants to take it for Metro Council, is that correct?
yeah, well, once we get him back, once we tell him, they're going to all put together and send it to, because he's got to get on their agenda, Metro Council.
He can do that without us having our second reading and
Even if we stay on the second reading, as long as not any changes made, we're okay. We're voting on the contract we had last night.
I'm all for it. What I'm saying is there anything we can do to have it finalized on our end? Part of that, is it
Special
necessary?
call meeting.
That's what we'll do then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what he's saying, vote on it tonight.
and then have those immediately.
And that'll give time for.
Yeah, because our April meeting will be way after the farmer's.
Yeah. And at some point, I
That's
was,
going to make it real close there.
yeah.
We're only a little over a week and a half away from April.
And at some point, we'll receive the contract from Billisville, but I don't think their contract is going to go into effect. What did he say that means? October. So,
What is the length of time that we must let go by when we go ahead and set a date for a special call meeting? Can we go ahead and set that today? I mean, we will. But how many days must we wait between this meeting and the next meeting?
You're down
You don't-
72 hours before,
Okay, good.
I mean, whenever anybody want to make, it doesn't matter to me, we'll have a second special call meeting. I mean, it's only going to be on that issue alone, so it'll take long to do that.
You want to make a motion?
Well, I'm just sitting here trying to give Phyllis enough time. I mean, toward the end of next week sometime. Is that good for everybody?
I don't have a calendar, what's the last week of April?
March.
I mean, in March, I'm sorry.
The 30th and 31st is that Monday and Tuesday. The 30th we have court, the 31st is available.
The 31st is
Is
Tuesday.
that Tuesday?
That'd be fine with me.
I'll give everybody enough time.
31st, special call meeting at 7. That way it gives everybody time to get here. It's hard to get here at 6.
It is.
It shouldn't last very long. We have to have a public hearing and then the second reading.
We won't even have to have a public hearing on this one, just a second.
Oh, you don't have to have a public hearing on that?
No, just a second reading.
Okay. Well, that's real quick, easy. Yeah. 31st at 7 o'clock.
That's 2 weeks now. So we even have time to do it next week. if we need it.
You want to make a motion to accept the first reading?
I make a motion to accept the Metro contract, new sewer contract for 2015.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're going to call that ordinance number 2015-102.
2015-102. Okay, let's go on to new business ordinance 2015-101, building permit fee schedule.
I'll put this in my calendar.
I think, you said the contract, didn't you?
I said,
Okay.
Okay, as was stated in the minutes of last month, we got a new building inspector, and we needed to raise the rates of all the building permits in order to cover the expense of our inspections, as well as he's got some other inspections that he does that he's had to split up as far as mechanical. So basically, these rates are to cover the cost of the office up here and to cover his expenses. I'll make a motion that we pass.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
If you want to do an addition, how would that work? Would that be the living space needed? Right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, my question is, I'm counting 6 inspections for a living space, you know? Right? In other words, it's about 6. So with this fee schedule that we have, $100 plus $8 for each $1,000, and $1,000 of value being set per the Robertson County $80 per foot. All right. So my thought is, what if somebody wanted to do a 10 by 10 bathroom addition, and 10 by 10 would be 100 square feet, and that would be $8,000. Then 8,000 or 8 times 8 would be 64. You add the $100, that's $164. And then we have to have 6 inspections for $164 worth of fee. That's the only thing I see that might cause us a little problem. Additions might have to have a little bit more fee if we're going to give 6 inspections, because that would only be about, what? How much per inspection? You see the problem with it if we...
I see what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
I thought I put it in here that
different all the permits, I had to go together 6 times.
that might be a little bit of a problem, is all I'm saying, because if we have to, now naturally you have a footing, and you know what, you're gonna have mechanical out there in the bathroom, you're gonna have plumbing, have electrical, have framing, have insulation and vinyl. We're gonna pay for the inspector to go out for all of those, and we won't have enough.
You got a good point. I'm gonna make a motion to table this at this point. Let me reword this. Because he does have a really good point on that. I'll let the table this for next month.
Okay.
I say, if that's a motion, or just table.
Pass it on first. You could actually pass it on first and reword it for your second if you'd like to do that.
Because she's got to have time for a public hearing and
Well,
everything.
you
So,
actually have to have a public hearing. Well, yeah, you will have to have a public hearing.
so
You
you
can
want,
pass it on first and reword it for second if you want to, so you can still read it next month.
Are you comfortable with that? Pass it on the first?
Yeah, oh yeah, but you know what, yeah, I'm very comfortable with that.
Okay. All right, let's go and do it. I make the
So
motion.
you want to pull it back off the table?
Yeah, I'll make the motion, pull it back off the table, go ahead and pass the first reading here for the contingency if we're going to reword it.
Okay.
And this is ordinance number 2015-101. I'll second. I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You're gonna try to do this, when you say you're gonna try to do the second, the next meeting we have, regular meeting?
Look at me.
Because I'll have to run this public hearing as well.
All right. School employee insurance.
okay. As we had the discussion last night, does anybody have any questions about any of that? I was going to make a motion for the reimbursement program for 1/2 of the percentage of the difference between the 14 and the 15 out of pocket. That's my motion.
I second that motion.
I got one question on that. I don't have a problem with any of what we discussed last night. Are we still reimbursing or helping out the people who don't have insurance for the city, like we once did? If somebody has insurance and doesn't work here, one time we reimburse them a certain amount of money. Are we still doing that?
And we have done it since I've been here.
We've done it a few times. We're not doing it all, is that what we're saying? There's several people one time that didn't have insurance and the city was paying for insurance, so we gave them some extra money back. I didn't know if it was doing it or not.
Made the motion. So do
You
we.
say,
I did.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hang on, I need to help her with my motion. Of the percent of the increase from 14 to 15. Make that up.
Thank you.
Let's go on to utility worker position. This is a part-time position we've always had this summer, mainly for mowing in the past. Now that our secondary worker has become our second worker, we need to try to hire somebody else in a part-time position. I think I'll talk about that, we brought it up last night.
This is our full-time position, right? One we're already talking about.
We run full-time?
The grass mower is on down.
Oh, okay.
Utility worker was full-time, was Keith, right?
I thought we already got him full-time, I just misunderstood that. This is Keith's position?
Yeah.
I guess when
Okay.
you said part-time, it threw me off, because
Well, that's what I thought it was, I thought we already,
This is Keith's position we're discussing.
Oh, okay.
I'll make that clear.
I thought we
I'm gonna
already,
say, I wanna make sure I'm on the same page.
I thought we already had Keith on full-time.
Well, that went through a time period because we had to post it,
Oh, okay.
which ended when?
We added to,
Last month.
Okay.
then we need to add it to the agenda, right? And that's why, just to approve it back.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
Do we have any pay scale? Do we know what we need to start out at? And I know he's on the phone, and
He's, I got it. Let's see.
He's already received all his OQs for gas, correct?
That's correct. What he would like to do is start him out at $14 an hour, full-time with insurance. And then when our next budget comes up, go ahead and bump him up at that time because of all of his OQs with the gas. That's what he would like to do. At this point in time, I'm going to back him on that.
Yeah, I think
It was Mike back here when he left.
Yes.
I don't have a problem. You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve Keith for our utility worker position at the rate of $14 an hour, full-time with insurance.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Abstain.
Got 4 yes and 1 abstain. Let's go on to employee handbook.
Uh,
We're still waiting for that.
Yeah, he called me today. What's his name? Gary Jacob called me today. He has one of the modules for us to look at. He has 2 or 3 of those, for the harassment section, and then he's working on the one for the discipline section. He's going to write up a new one for that and send that to us.
Okay.
And
We'll do that next month.
yeah, I was.
Skip E, they're not here this evening. Going to grass mowing for 2015, I guess this is a part-time employee, right? We put an ad in the paper, I guess, correct? I think we decided in the browser, was that what I understood last night?
Yeah, I'd like to see us use a browser, maybe, I've noticed some things, I went to look, I know several things are being put on smokybarn.com. Do you offer anything on your website for that yet? Okay. Okay. Oh, and I guess we need to discuss hourly wage for advertisement.
We were paying what last year, 9 or 10?
It was $9.50.
I think it was 9.
How many hours are we looking at? How many hours will we be looking at, per week?
How many hours does it take to get all the mowing done in a week? 3 days?
About 3.5 really.
Is that every 2 weeks? Or some of it every week?
No, it's every week.
Every week?
As soon as they get caught, the one's time to mow the other one.
Yeah. Time he finishes, yeah, and that's hoping that there ain't no rain days in there. Cause like what Keith did was when it rained, he didn't work.
Okay.
But, yeah, it takes just about every bit of 3.5 days to mow every week.
28 hours a week.
You want to go $10? I make a motion to advertise for the seasonal part-time person at $10 an hour.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's go on to crossing guard replacement for the 15-16 school year. Since Keith has taken the other job, we need help there, so I guess run the same ad we've always ran, I guess. I mean, we posted that thing numerous times over the years, so. Go ahead, Chief.
Mayor, the only thing I would suggest is if we could go ahead and run that ad at the same time as a seasonal employee. That way, if we can go ahead and find somebody now, we can get them trained over the course of the next couple of months, and possibly even go ahead and turn Keith totally loose to do that if we can find somebody. To start them off at the very beginning of the school year, traffic's 3 times worse, and I'm anticipating a lot of construction over there at that time.
Okay.
So if we could go ahead and advertise it now, I mean, we're not talking about, what, 2 months? So,
When are you gonna get part-time ad in next week? Just put both of them at the same time. And give him time to maybe train somebody over there.
I've already noticed some people mowing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, on the crossing guard, do we need, who's going to do the interviewing for that?
I'd rather Chief to do
Yeah,
it.
I would too.
if y'all are okay with that, I don't mind interviewing. and would like to set the pay scale up kind of like we had before we merged the two jobs.
Yeah, it's in the budget.
Right, and we'll pay that same amount.
The question came up last night, it's just, doesn't matter, but like, do you break that down over the entire year, or you just pay them on, like, the time they work? In other words, their entire pay, is it a check they get all year round, or is it just seasonal?
Are you talking about,
School crossing guard.
they get a check every 2 weeks?
School
So they're
crossing
getting
guard?
it's spread out 26 weeks.
Okay. Okay, let's go on to surplus police car for crossing guard. I think we discussed that also. So I understand we're not.
And I'll be honest with you, I forgot the conversation that me and you had, and I did not bring with me the particulars on those cars, but I have two police cars that are sitting behind the station. It will probably take me around $300 to $400 investment to get the striping off of them, and then we'll take the lights and the radios and all those things out of them. And then what I'd like to do is put them on gov deals. We actually did very good with them a couple of years ago when we got rid of 2 other cars. And that's what I'd like to do. And I had mentioned before is maybe taking the money that we get from this and putting it in a vehicle fund. So we can, have something to go toward another vehicle here in a couple of years to be able to buy one.
Okay.
Question, Chief, is the reason we have to take the lights off, is it in case a police department doesn't buy it?
Yeah, it opens it up where everybody can buy it.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, I don't think Gov Deals will sell them with a light bar on them.
Okay.
Because not only would it open liability up to us, I believe, it would to them as well. That's the reason I go ahead and get police and Ridgetop taken off the vehicles. We leave the side stripes off of them, but police and Ridgetop are taken off the vehicles.
Do you know what year those cars are?
One's a 2006
One.
and a 2007. I will get you that information in the morning. I will say this, they are both, they're not wore out completely. They're both decent cars. They are. They was just using a lot of gas for us. And that's the reason I think when these taxi companies, when they come by here and look at them, I think they'll, if they give us that much money for the ones they bought last time, we ought to do real good.
How many miles on them, roughly?
It's on my desk, sir.
Under 100 or
Both of them are under 100.
I was thinking it worked.
I'm thinking in the 60-80 range. But I will get that information out to you all tomorrow.
I think Dave's had around 85.
Yeah.
When he turned.
And then the one Curtis had, it's in the upper 60s.
So you want us to make a motion tonight to go ahead and surplus them?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a question. Do they, I don't know how Gov bid, how ready to call it, actually bid it. When they bid on it, how long do we leave it on there for people to bid? Like a certain time
You
it's over?
can set your time period up you want yourself. I believe, and I've only used it this one time. Now, some of y'all might have watched it before. Most things are on there for a couple of weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks.
And then you pretty much know what your top bid is going to be.
Yes, sir. And
correct?
if we want to put a limit on it, we can. You just got to be careful with that limit because if it don't draw it, then you're still stuck with
How
it.
much time do you have to let that person know that they've got the car? I mean,
They know immediately that they want, I will be contacted by Gov Deals to tell me who just bought the car.
so you'll be able to know what they bid on it, roughly.
Oh, you'll know that. You can keep up with it yourself. Just go online and you can see what everybody bids. It's not a sealed bid, it's an open bid.
Yeah, I
online.
understand that. I'm just saying it, because I think those cars will bring crazy money on the auction.
I think they'll do good. I think they'll do good on Gov Deals.
Gov Deals brings crazy money, and they get an email, yes, you can find out, you can go in there and type Ridgetop, see everything we list in this surplus sale. You don't have to look individually, just type in Ridgetop, and it'll bring up everything from whatever we surplus. So, and you can
The good thing about these, you'll list them as is, but when you can take pictures of the good sides that these cars still have. One of them still has a decent interior. One of them still in really good shape. They've been tore up.
Okay, thanks.
How far back do you stand when you get that?
I get up close, sir.
Can you run up O'Reilly's and get a seat cover?
It's camo.
Okay, let's go on to,
But we need to make a motion to,
Motion to do it, yeah.
I make a motion to surplus the 2 police cars.
I'll second it.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Let's go on to conversation with Hummer for emergency services.
I don't think there's any.
My idea, sir, is as money is available, and right now I have a little bit of surplus in my maintenance. I do have 2 sets of tires that I'm fixing to have to buy, but I believe they're gonna be in decent shape with maintenance money. I've already talked to a few people, and we're mainly gonna do this ourselves with a little help from some other people. I don't look for it to be a large cost at all, just some painting costs, and then I'm gonna get with Mike, and we're gonna try to find the best places to get the lights, and we'll get those wired in as well. He's already given me some places in the past at really good prices on light, LED lights.
Okay. We've already talked about scheduling a special call meeting for the sewer. It's going to schedule a workshop for April.
I put that on there because I didn't know exactly how all the sewer business was going to be done. And if we need a workshop, we'll do like we'll call it.
Any citizens' comments this evening?
I do. In fact, it's really apropos for tonight. I've got something I want to hand out to each of you and then read it and then review it.
Excuse me.
That has to do with workshops. Oh, I forgot. I'm Stephen Harper. I live at 106 Hidden Meadows Court. And I want to first encourage you to let you know that I'd like to see you change this in the city ordinance because as far as I know, we've never obeyed it, and it really handcuffs you. But I want to read this, what it talks about for work sessions. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen may hold a work session on the first Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. at City Hall. The work session will allow only discussion of pending and potential issues for consideration by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. No deliberation or votes, formal or informal, will be taken. No minutes or written or recorded records of the board work session will be taken. No formal agenda will be followed. The regular order of business will not be followed, and there will be no citizens' comments, but the meeting will be open to the public. Neither the department heads nor the city attorney will be required to attend the board work sessions unless specifically directed to do so by the mayor or the commissioner in charge of the respective department. This was added to the ordinance in March of 1999. I want to encourage you to change this. I've mentioned this several times in the past. I don't know if I've given you a written copy of it like this, but you're really limited. It's very specific. It says you can have workshops the first Tuesday of each month at 7 o'clock in City Hall. While I like the 7 o'clock at City Hall idea, I hate to see you restricted to one time a month. And in fact, we don't obey that anyway. So my encouragement is, wouldn't be a big deal to change this. I'd like to see you change it rather than continue to violate city ordinance.
I'll make a motion to reword, the board and mayor of Alderman may hold a work session as needed.
That's all it needs to be. Just something like that. It gives you the freedom then to schedule them when it works best for you, rather than the first Tuesday of every month. Besides that, we never do it anyway.
This is a changing of the city ordinance, motion made by McCall, Johnson, and Alderman Johnson. This is ordinance 1-104, board work sessions. Motion's been made to change this and wording of meeting when needed. I hear all second, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that has to be put in our I don't know how to go about it. MTS came up with this before us back when we changed this. I remember when we changed this, it was for the reason we didn't even have anything in there about
Yeah.
meetings. But
Well, because, I mean, it gives you complete guidelines for the meeting even as
and I'm
well.
sure that's probably the way MTS had it with another town, they just put that wording in there.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I'll see a lot of that out.
Yeah. I'm not for sure about changing as far as ordinances. Does that take 2 readings? I've never changed the ordinance before. Okay. Does that take a public hearing also or not? It doesn't?
It does.
Okay. Thank you, Steve.
You gonna take care of it?
Any other citizens' comments?
Who will, as far as the new part-time guy, who hires him? Will he come before our board, the application, does he handle that, or Jeff take care of that?
I think the last time the applications came to Kelly, and then I'd like to see Heath do the, if it's okay with the board, maybe do the hiring on that. He's got to work with it.
Who helped you, Heath, on the last time? Was it Mike? Or who helped you?
Me and Kelly did.
Okay.
That's a good point. I'd rather see him make that decision because he's going to have the working relationship with it.
You gotta deal with it.
That's what,
I assume it's going to be a year.
Either she or they.
That individual, he will have to deal with every word.
Any other citizens' comments? Appreciate the camera crew being here again. Thank you. I'll make a motion to close the meeting. Here a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.